doors don't define you. I need you to hear that deep down in your spirit today, because too many of us walk around treating a closed door like a final verdict. We convince ourselves that if that job didn't work out, if that relationship didn't last, if that opportunity slipped through our fingers, then maybe we weren't good enough. Maybe we didn't deserve it. Maybe that was our only chance. But can I tell you something? Closed doors are not a period. They are a comma in your story. They are not God's way of saying it's over. They are God's way of whispering, not here, not now, not this way. When a door closes, the sting is real. Let's be honest. It hurts to be rejected. It hurts to fail. It hurts to give your all and still feel like you came up short. You replay it in your head. You wonder what you could have done differently. You think maybe if you had been smarter, faster, stronger, it would have turned out another way. But what if I told you that God allows certain doors to shut because He's protecting you from something you couldn't see? What if I told you that the no you thought was punishment was actually protection? That the disappointment you thought was rejection was actually redirection? Sometimes the very thing you're begging God to open is the very thing He's keeping closed because He knows it would break you, not bless you. Think about it. How many times have you wanted something so badly, only to realize later that if you had received it, it would have cost you your peace, your sanity, maybe even your purpose? That relationship you cried over might have pulled you further away from who you really are. That position you didn't get might have trapped you in a place too small for your calling. That opportunity you thought you needed could have distracted you from the greater assignment on your life. You don't always see it in the moment, but God sees the entire picture and He knows what is best for you. Closed doors are not a reflection of your worth. They are not evidence that you are unqualified or unworthy. They are not proof that you've been overlooked. They are often evidence that you are chosen for something greater than what you were reaching for. You may not have fit into that space, not because you lacked ability, but because God designed you for a different room, a bigger stage, a higher purpose. That door had to close so that your identity wouldn't get trapped in a place too small for your destiny. It's easy to look at a locked door and feel like it's mocking you, like it's reminding you of what you don't have. But I want you to shift your perspective. Instead of asking, why me? Start asking, what's next? Because when one door closes, it's not the end of the hallway. There are still doors ahead of you, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be opened at just the right time. Every door you couldn't walk through brought you one step closer to the door you were always meant to enter. So don't let a closed door make you bitter. Don't let it make you small. Don't let it convince you that you're unworthy of more. Closed doors are not punishment. They are preparation. They are teaching you patience. They are stretching your faith. They are breaking your dependence on things that can't sustain you, so that when the right door opens, you're not walking in broken and desperate. You're walking in whole and ready. Closed doors teach you how to trust God when you don't have the answers. They train your spirit to lean not on your own understanding, but on His. They remind you that your steps are ordered, that your life has a divine rhythm. That you're not wandering aimlessly. You are being led. You may not see it yet, but every no is connected to a bigger yes you haven't reached. Every shut door is tied to a greater opportunity that's still in motion. So instead of mourning the doors that didn't open, start praising God for the ones He kept closed. Start thanking Him for the unseen dangers He blocked, for the hidden traps He spared you from, for the heartbreak He rescued you out of before you ever knew it was coming. Because if the door had opened when you wanted it to, you wouldn't be standing here today preparing for the one that truly belongs to you. God is not punishing you when He closes a door. He's positioning you. He's setting you up for a blessing that fits, for a space that matches your calling, for a door that only your name has the key to. And when that door swings open, You'll look back and realize that the doors that shut weren't failures. They were foundations. There's a new version of you. That's the part we don't always want to face, because it's easier to pray for God to change our situation than it is to let Him change us. We want the new opportunity, the fresh start, the blessing that makes it all worth it. But we want to walk into it carrying the same habits, the same mindset, the same baggage we've always carried. And here's the truth. God doesn't open new doors for the old you. He opens new doors for the you that has been refined, stretched, and transformed in the waiting. Think about it. If you step into a new door but bring the same insecurities, the same fears, the same bitterness you had from the last season, you'll sabotage what God is trying to give you. You'll mismanage the blessing because you haven't yet healed from the brokenness. You'll mishandle the opportunity because you're still weighed down by what hurt you before. And God loves you too much to let you ruin what He's preparing for you. That's why He takes time to work on your character before He releases the opportunity. That's why He makes sure your mindset is renewed. So when the door opens, you can actually sustain what He's giving you. This is why some of you feel stuck right now. It's not that God has forgotten you. It's not that the door isn't coming. It's that He's making sure you're ready for what's behind it. He's teaching you how to let go of grudges you've been holding, how to break free from cycles that kept you small, how to silence the voice in your head that tells you you're not enough. Because the old version of you cannot survive in the new space He's calling you to. The door is not just about access. It's about elevation. And elevation requires transformation. If you've ever moved into a new home, you know what it feels like to pack up boxes. There are some things you carry with you because they still serve a purpose. But there are other things you leave behind because they don't belong in the new space. That's exactly how God deals with us. He looks at the clutter in our hearts, the patterns in our lives, and He says, that can't come with you. You can't bring that resentment into this new season. You can't carry that fear into this new assignment. You can't drag that shame into the room I'm opening for you. If you want to step through the door, you've got to unpack some things that no longer serve the future I've designed for you. Sometimes that transformation hurts because it requires you to let go of things you thought you needed. It requires you to grow beyond your comfort zone. It asks you to release people who once defined you, habits that once soothed you, and identities you once wore like armor. But hear me, if the door is going to unlock, you have to become the version of yourself that fits the key. This is why the waiting season matters. While you're waiting, God is stripping away the old layers, the old perspectives, the old fears. He's pruning you so you can produce more fruit. He's teaching you discipline because where He's taking you will require consistency. He's training your faith because behind the new door, the challenges will be greater, but so will the rewards. He's reshaping your heart because the people you'll be called to serve in the next season need a healed and whole version of you, not the broken one who barely made it through the last storm. The new version of you is courageous even when afraid. The new version of you trusts God's timing instead of forcing your own. The new version of you knows that worth isn't proven by titles or applause, but by identity rooted in God. And when you become that version of yourself, the door doesn't just open. It welcomes you. It recognizes you. It responds to the growth you've endured and the resilience you've built. So stop asking God why the door hasn't opened yet and start asking Him, what are you trying to change in me before it does? Because maybe the delay isn't about the door, it's about your development. Maybe He's waiting for you to stop rehearsing old pain and start rehearsing new faith. Maybe He's waiting to release what you've been clutching so tightly, so your hands are free to receive what He has next. You don't have to be afraid of who you're becoming. Growth is never easy, but it's always necessary. And every time you surrender a little more of the old you, You're stepping closer to the new door that's been prepared for your destiny. Delay is not denial. I need you to let that settle in your spirit, because too many of us mistake God's timing for God's rejection. We pray, we fast, we believe, and then when it doesn't happen on our schedule, we assume maybe God changed his mind about us. Maybe the promise was never real. Maybe we got it wrong. But the truth is, God's timing is not like ours. He sees the whole picture, the moving pieces we can't see, the connections he's orchestrating, the battles he's winning on our behalf in places we'll never step into. What feels like a delay to you is often divine alignment. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had dreams of greatness when he was just a boy, dreams that showed him leading, ruling, standing in authority. But instead of walking straight into a palace, he was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, locked up in a prison. If he had judged his future by the delays, he would have given up on the dream. But every delay was preparing him, positioning him, refining him until the moment came when the door swung wide open and he stood exactly where God had shown him years before. The dream didn't die. It just took time to mature. That's what some of you need to understand. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to. Just because the opportunity hasn't come doesn't mean God changed his plan. Just because you're waiting doesn't mean you're wasting time. Waiting seasons are working seasons, even when you can't see what's moving. God is setting things in order so when the door opens, everything is aligned and you won't walk into chaos. You'll walk into purpose. Delay is often God's protection. Sometimes he slows things down because he knows if he gave it to you too soon, it would crush you instead of bless you. Some of us are asking for doors that we don't have the strength to carry yet. We're praying for platforms that our character can't sustain. We want relationships, businesses, opportunities, influence. But if it comes too early, it could destroy us. God delays because he loves us, because he wants us prepared, equipped, and rooted deeply enough that when the blessing arrives, it doesn't break us, it builds us. There's also something about delay that teaches trust. When you can't rush the process, you learn to lean on God's timing instead of your own. You learn to release control, to stop forcing doors open that were never meant for you, and to rest in the truth that if God said it, he will do it. Delay stretches your faith muscles. It trains your heart to believe without evidence, to hope without proof, to worship even while you wait. And that kind of faith that can withstand the silence, is the faith that sustains you once the promise arrives. Some of you are frustrated because you thought the door would have opened by now. You thought you'd be further along, thought you'd have the job, the family, the breakthrough, the healing, and the enemy is whispering in your ear, telling you that if it hasn't happened yet, it won't. But the enemy is a liar. Delay is not a closed door. It's just a door with a timing lock. It doesn't open by force. It opens when God says the time is right. And when that moment comes, no one can shut it. The beauty of delay is that it often reveals what you're made of. Will you quit when it doesn't happen fast enough? Will you compromise just to make something happen on your own? Or will you trust God enough to believe that his delay is still part of his design? Because when you remain faithful in the waiting, you prove to yourself and to the world that your trust is not in the timing. It's in the God who holds time. And here's the thing, when the delay is over and the door finally opens, the wait will make sense. You'll look back and realize that the timing was perfect, that if it had come earlier, you wouldn't have been ready, or the people around you wouldn't have been ready, or the resources you needed wouldn't have been in place. You'll see how every not yet was connected to a bigger right now that only God could orchestrate. So don't despise the delay. Don't curse the waiting season. Don't assume silence means denial. Stand firm in the truth that if God promised you a door, it will open. It may not open when you want it, but it will open when you need it. And when it does, you'll see why the delay was never denial. Preparation happens in private. That's the part most of us don't celebrate, because nobody applauds the behind the scenes work. Nobody is cheering for you when you're up late at night wrestling with your doubts, when you're crying prayers that never make it onto Instagram, when you're fighting to break habits that nobody even knows you struggle with. Preparation is lonely, it's quiet, and sometimes it feels invisible. But hear me. Just because it's unseen doesn't mean it's wasted. God does his best work in the places nobody is watching. Think about a seed buried in the ground. You don't see anything happening at first. You could walk past the soil every day and assume it's empty, assume nothing is growing. But underneath, roots are stretching deep. The foundation is being laid, and the seed is developing in silence. If you dig it up too soon, you'll destroy it. The same is true for your life. Just because you don't see the fruit yet doesn't mean God isn't growing something in you. The roots of your faith, the strength of your character, the resilience of your spirit, those are being formed in private long before the door opens in public. We live in a world that celebrates visibility. We want the platform, the stage, the recognition. But God says, before I can trust you with the stage, I need to test you in the shadows, because who you are when no one is looking is who you really are. If you can be faithful in the quiet, you'll be trusted with the crowd. If you can be consistent when nobody knows your name, you'll be ready when everyone does. The private preparation season is where discipline is built, and without discipline, destiny will crush you. Sometimes God hides you on purpose. He hides you so that people don't validate you too soon. He hides you so you're not distracted by applause that you're not ready for. He hides you so he can work on your heart, heal your wounds, strip away your pride, and remind you that your identity is in him, not in likes, not in titles, not in people's opinions. And when the door opens, you'll walk through it with a foundation so steady that nothing can shake you. Private preparation also reveals your motives. Are you praying because you want intimacy with God, or because you want him to hurry and bless you? Are you serving because you love people, or because you hope someone notices? The quiet season strips away performance and forces you to face the truth about why you do what you do. And that truth matters, because when the spotlight hits you, it doesn't make you, it exposes you. If your heart isn't right in private, it will be exposed in public. I know it's frustrating to feel like you're ready and still be hidden. You think, God, I've worked hard, I've been faithful. Why hasn't the door opened yet? But sometimes the preparation is not about your ability. It's about your capacity. Can you handle the pressure that comes with the promise? Can you withstand the weight of the blessing without crumbling? Can you love people even when they misunderstand you? Can you stay true even when success tempts you to compromise? That kind of strength isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in silence. Don't despise the season where nobody sees you. That's where the sharpening happens. That's where the refining fire burns away what can't go with you into the next level. That's where God whispers lessons you'll need later, the kind of wisdom you can't Google, the kind of discernment you only gain through experience with him in the secret place. And when the door finally opens, you won't just walk into it. You'll walk into it ready, whole, steady, and equipped. Preparation in private is a gift. It's God's way of saying, I'm protecting you while I perfect you. You may feel hidden, but you are not forgotten. You may feel delayed, but you are being developed. And the version of you that will step through the new door will carry a strength, a faith, and a maturity that could only have been built when no one was watching. Walking through the door requires courage. It sounds simple, but the truth is, stepping into something new can feel terrifying. We pray for God to open doors. We ask him for opportunities. We cry out for change. But when that door finally cracks open, fear shows up. Fear whispers, what if you fail? What if you're not ready? What if they laugh at you? What if you walk through this door and it shuts right in your face? And so many of us stand in front of what we prayed for, frozen, because the unknown feels scarier than the familiar. But let me tell you something, fear will never leave you alone. If you're waiting to feel fearless before you move, you'll never move. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. Courage says, yes, I'm nervous. Yes, I don't have all the answers. Yes, I don't know how this will turn out, but I trust God more than I trust my fear. The door may open, but only faith will push you through it. Think about the Israelites standing at the edge of the Red Sea. The door to freedom had opened, but in front of them was water they couldn't cross, and behind them was an army ready to destroy them. They had a choice: run back to what was familiar, even if it meant slavery, or step forward into something they'd never seen before. And when they moved, God moved. That's how courage works. It activates God's power. He doesn't always part the waters before you step. Sometimes he waits for your foot to touch the edge before the miracle unfolds. Some of you are standing at the threshold of a new chapter, but you're hesitating. You're still clinging to comfort zones that don't serve you anymore. You're still letting other people's opinions hold weight in your decisions. You're still telling yourself that you're not enough, not qualified, not worthy. But can I tell you something? God wouldn't have opened the door if you weren't ready to walk through it. He wouldn't have placed the opportunity in front of you if he hadn't already equipped you with what you need. The enemy wants you to doubt yourself. But the door itself is evidence that God trusts you with this next level. Courage doesn't mean you won't stumble. It doesn't mean you'll get everything perfect the first time. It means you're willing to try. It means you believe that even if you fall, God's grace will catch you, and he'll use the fall to make you stronger. Some of the greatest victories in your life will only happen on the other side of fear. You can't stay stuck in the hallway forever. At some point, you've got to decide, I may not know everything waiting for me, but I know who's walking with me. And here's the thing, every door God opens will stretch you. It will require more faith than you've had before, more strength than you've used before, more trust than you've ever given before. That's why courage is essential. Courage says, I don't have to know what's on the other side. I just have to know that God's already there. And if he's there, then the door is not a trap. It's a testimony in the making. Walking through the door also means leaving some things behind. You can't step into new while holding on to everything old. Sometimes the hardest part about courage is not what's ahead of you, but what you have to let go of behind you. People, habits, mindsets, even identities you've outgrown, they can all make you hesitate at the threshold. But if you're going to walk in faith, you've got to trust that what God has before you is greater than anything you're leaving behind. So yes, it takes courage. It takes courage to start the business. It takes courage to apply for the job. It takes courage to forgive when you could stay bitter. It takes courage to speak up when it's easier to stay silent. It takes courage to dream again after disappointment. But every time you choose courage, you're telling fear it has no power over you. And every time you walk through a door with shaky hands and a trembling heart, but a determined spirit, heaven celebrates because you didn't let fear win. Don't stand at the doorway of what you prayed for and let fear talk you out of it. You've been prepared, you've been positioned, and now you're being presented with the very thing you've been waiting for. The door is open. Don't just stare at it. Walk through it with courage. The new door is bigger than you. That's the truth we sometimes overlook because we think God opens doors just to make our lives easier, just to bless us personally, just to give us the breakthrough we've been praying for. But when God opens a door, he's not only thinking about you, he's thinking about everyone connected to you. He's thinking about the generations that will come after you, the people who will be inspired by your testimony, the lives that will be changed because you had the courage to walk through. The new door isn't just an upgrade for your life, it's an assignment for your purpose. When God elevates you, it's never just so you can stand taller, it's so you can reach further. It's so you can extend your hand back to the ones who are still in the hallway, waiting for their own breakthrough. The blessing that comes with the open door is designed to overflow, to touch the people around you, to spark faith in those who are watching you. Because whether you realize it or not, somebody is watching. Somebody is paying attention to how you handle the waiting, how you handle the breakthrough, how you handle the pressure of the new season. Your courage becomes their blueprint. Your faith becomes their inspiration. Your testimony becomes their hope. That's why the new door is bigger than your comfort zone. It's not about keeping you safe. It's about expanding your influence. It's about pulling you into spaces where your voice carries weight, where your story matters, where your light shines in places that have been dark for too long. God doesn't just want to bless you privately. He wants to use you publicly, not so people can worship you, but so they can see what's possible when someone fully trusts him. And sometimes that means the door feels overwhelming. You step into it and think, why me? Why did God choose me for this room? I don't feel qualified. I don't feel like I belong. But here's the reminder. You weren't chosen because of your perfection. You were chosen because of your availability. God knew your flaws, your past, your insecurities, and still said, this is the one I'm going to use. That door isn't proof that you're perfect. It's proof that God's grace is powerful. What you need to understand is that the new door isn't just a destination, it's a responsibility. When you walk into it, you're carrying the weight of every prayer you prayed, every tear you cried, every season you endured. And that weight is not just for you, it's for the people you're assigned to help. The ones who will one day say, because they walked through, I found the strength to walk through too. That's why the door has to be bigger than you. It has to be big enough to hold not only your purpose, but the purposes connected to you. Think about how many cycles can be broken when you step into your new door. Family patterns of lack of brokenness, of silence can be interrupted because you chose courage. Think about how many people will encounter healing, freedom, hope, because you didn't let fear stop you. Think about how your children, your friends, your community will look back and point to your decision to walk through as the moment that shifted everything. That's why you can't make the door about your comfort. It's about your calling. Sometimes we underestimate the ripple effect of obedience. You think you're just walking into a new job, but God is planting you there to impact lives you haven't even met yet. You think you're just starting a business, but God is using you to create opportunities for others to thrive. You think you're just writing a book, starting a ministry, stepping onto a stage, but God is using your yes to ignite a fire in someone else who thought it was too late for them. Every open door carries a ripple that reaches further than you could ever imagine. So when you face the new door, don't shrink back. Don't try to make it small enough to fit your fears. Step into it with the understanding that you are a vessel, that your life is bigger than your own plans, that God's vision for you stretches far beyond what you can see. And when you feel the weight of it, when you feel the responsibility pressing on your shoulders, remember, you're not carrying it alone. The same God who opened the door will sustain you as you walk through it.